As far back as the 1830s, freedom of discussion and the influence of the majority opinion thereon was a matter of real concern to thoughtful people. A great French writer put it well, I think. I know of no country in which there is so little independence of mind and real freedom of discussion as in America. The will of man is not shattered, but softened, bent, and guided. Men are seldom forced by it to act, but they are restrained from acting. The majority no longer say, "You shall think as I do or die," but it says, "You are free to think differently from me and to retain your life, your property, and all that you possess. But you are henceforth a stranger among your people. You may retain your civil rights, but they will be useless to you, for you will never be chosen by your fellow citizens if you solicit their votes, and they will affect to scorn you if you ask for their esteem." The sharp edge of that prophecy cuts deeply with us today. Restrictions on freedom of expression come from many sources. There is, for example, the narrowing effect inherent in the concentration of managerial control of the press, the radio, the movies, and in the foreseeable future, television. Within the last 40 years, 1/3 of our newspapers have disappeared, and more than 3,000 weeklies have ceased publication. As of a recent date, 10 of our states did not have a single city with competing papers, and in the whole of America there are only a few more than 100 cities where one can find daily newspapers in competition. The pattern of concentration extends elsewhere. In radio, 1/5 of the stations are interlocked with newspapers. 4 networks dominate national radio, while less than 24 advertisers account for 50% of network income. And in the film industry, 5 big companies exercise a dominant influence upon the industry. Let me make one thing plain. I am not saying that what brought this to pass was in all cases the hand of monopoly grabbing for bigness as an end in itself. In some cases, cost account sheets compelled owners and managers to seek their survival by enlarging themselves through mergers, and it is to the credit of some of these that when they found themselves in a monopolistic position, they tried to run the communications property as if it were a responsible public utility, but men of this outlook are unfortunately in the minority. The general effect of what approaches monopoly control is that people hear, see, watch, read, and listen to only one side of public questions, and this in turn can adversely affect the public man to whom the guidance of public affairs is entrusted. He may know the truth and want to speak it, yet he doubts whether his views, as transmitted to his constituents by those who control communication channels, will be fairly presented or presented at all. How should those of us here bear ourselves in a climate where the pressures to conform are so remorseless? To the politician who means to be faithful to his oath of office, the answer is plain. It is to draw closer still to the letter and spirit of the Constitution. For in the degree to which he does this, he can better follow this guideline staked out by the founders. They were not prepared to lodge the rule of our society in the majority opinion. They knew it to be a quick and volatile thing. They knew that it required a frame of law to steady it, and that the frame of law was itself limitless in what it could cover. They said the law itself should be limited to enumerated topics which are a proper concern of Caesar. All else, the dreams and speculations of artists, or any other manner of activity involving a connection between a man and his God, were not to be invaded by the law. Beyond this, the founders were under no illusions about the nature of power. Give all power to the many, they said, and they will oppress the few. Give all power to the few, they will oppress the many. Both therefore, ought to have power, that each may defend itself against the other. And with this in mind, the organ of government they framed was a balanced arrangement for unity and diversity, authority and liberty, security and freedom, continuity and new birth.